Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building this morning. We have Steve Stoute here this morning. Good morning.
What do we even call Steve Stoute nowadays?
I was going to call him, I don't know if it's entrepreneur, executive,
businessman, author,
commissioner,
I'll take all of it.
connecting the dot guy. He does everything.
I've been doing it for a while. I'll take it all. I've played all the positions on the field.
Now, you know, one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you this morning is I know that you had a close relationship with Kobe. I know you got him his first deal,
You signed him his first record deal.
Yeah.
And I think
His only.
the first time he came to New York, I remember seeing him at the Rucker Park. I'm not sure if you were the one that talked him into playing at the Rucker that time too.
Well, yeah, he as a rookie, I met him, and he wanted to put out an album. I mean, he was actually part of a group, and I signed the group over at Columbia, Trackmasters. We signed them. We were just coming off of like LL Cool J and Will Smith, and we thought we could make this thing work. And
who else was in the group?
There's a guys from Philly, guys he went to high school with.
Gotcha.
And he stayed in New York, man. He spent a lot of time with Nas, with Foxy, like really trying to acclimate himself to what he was gonna, to do as an artist, to learn. And that's the thing that I got from him, is that when he decided to do something, he went so all in, Envy. I mean, I've seen in my life maybe 3-4 people with the work ethic that this man had. It was just, just beyond in any field. I mean, just beyond. So anyhow, he came to New York, and he lived with me for a month while we were making that album, and during that time, we became really close friends, and we became friends, and it lasted up until his unfortunate passing.
Yeah, I saw you at the last game he ever played. He gave you a game ball. Gave you a game ball.
We were at the last game he played, and it's unfortunate, man. It's tough. We lost a hero, and he was now. The thing about it that's crazy was that he was now entering this comfortable state of giving away his magic, the sort of the tips of the science. Like he was giving it away to special athletes. They'd come see him and get coached up. But as a businessman, he started to give away a lot of those insights that would be helpful to all of us. And I could just like go over things that I watched him do. That year, he's going into his second year in the league. He was going to guard Allen Iverson, and he was like, "Man, I got to guard Allen Iverson." So what he did was he asked me to go. I got my man Anton Marchand, his Foxy's older brother. He's tight with all the basketball guys. He got all these guards, New York guards, who could dribble, crossover, do all kind of crazy step backs, and he lined 10 of them up in a row and just played defense. They all had a ball and would try to get past him. He would steal the ball, next guy. And I'm sitting there watching this guy do this at Chelsea Piers, and like that was just him getting ready for AI. He didn't want to score. He wanted to play lockdown defense. His dedication to being great was phenomenal. He was tough on people because he wanted everybody to be their best. And if you said something, he wanted to make sure you really understood what it required to do what you just said. So you couldn't just say, like, I'm going to be and then, like, he asked you the next question, and your answers become hollow. Like, it was this highly aspirational thought, but, like, non-aspirational process.
Right.
Where were you when you heard the news?
I was in the crib, and I got the note. And then you kind of want to believe that TMZ is fake,
right.
And then you realize that TMZ hasn't been wrong in years. Like, it's not fake.
They killed Wayne. They killed Wayne.
They did? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
all
right. Well, that's
I did see that, and I was like, I'll wait for some other outlets to
verify it.
Right, to verify it.
Yeah,
because you pray that it's wrong.
Well, you pray that it's wrong, and you also have a little one eye open with TMZ. But that's how I first heard about it, and then I made phone calls. We work with the NBA, and then obviously through the NBA and mutual friends, it was confirmed that it was real.
When's the last time you spoke to him?
2 months ago. Yeah. He was really going into that like hitting his stride as a businessman. He had it all set up, man. He leaves the game a year later, wins an Oscar.
Yes.
These are just crazy things, man, that he put out in the world, and his daughter. I mean, first of all, God bless the other families that were, lost ones on that helicopter, and his daughter. I mean, she was the next him. I mean, she had that dedication and focus. He was proud. He was very outspoken about women's college basketball and the WNBA, and he was like the de facto name and face behind growing that sport. He believed in it, and his daughter was gonna, obviously go that route. And just to know the poetic justice of it all, like this guy passed taking his daughter to a game.
Yeah.
Like that's what he was doing. So it's tough. And it reminds you, and we always get reminded, I'm sure we all have had these kinds of moments in our life, that you got to give people their flowers when they're alive. You got to tell them, and you got to live you live your life like you're not promised tomorrow. And, it's easy to forget that. It's very easy within the day-to-day of it all, and things that are thrown at you, to forget that you're not promised tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Did you speak to Kobe right before he retired? Did he say anything?
Oh, I spoke to him many times before.
And what was he saying about retiring? And
he knew it was time. He knew it was time. He knew it was time 2 years prior to that. He's extremely calculated. Him and Jay were very close. Jay was just with him on New Year's. He was very close to Jay-Z. He always admired Jay-Z, so I believe I introduced him. He loved what we were doing in hip-hop. In fact, that's really what he liked. But he didn't come to America till he was 16.
Yeah.
He spoke fluent Italian. He came here. So he used to watch Michael Jordan on tapes, because he didn't, he wasn't watching it like we were watching it live. But what he liked about hip-hop was he liked the counterculture nature of it, the fighting against the system of it, the thing that we have all done that we don't even realize that we've done, to get to where we are, this level of resourcefulness and fight by any means necessary to be heard. And what goes into that fire is the aspect of hip hop that he liked the most. That we all had that.
Does it make you question your own mortality in a way?
Yeah, always. At every funeral, every time there's a death, you think about, for me rather, am I living my life the way I want to live it? Am I, if words were spoken about me, have I done enough to deserve the words that I would want said about me?
right.
Depends who's speaking them, though, right?
Well, I'm not. I'm not here. I would just think about
Right. I think in general, you see all the people who have great positive things to say about their experiences and their relationships with Kobe.
Yeah.
And I think that's a legacy everybody should want to leave behind.
Look, that's the point of what we all doing this thing for, right? You have, that's the whole point of having kids, and leaving a great example, so that multiplies generation after generation. So you would want to leave a mark on this earth and instill values in your family, so that those learnings can be multiplied. They could do something for generations. And I feel like I've always felt like this, that we are all blessed, and your job is to take full advantage of the opportunities that you have. I've always felt like I was, my dad taught me this, like, no matter whether I was in the music business or a mechanic, like, you got to really go as hard as you can at the thing that you're doing. It's like, there's no reason not to. That's almost the privilege and the obligation to do that. And all the great people that I've ever had the privilege to be around, they've lived their life that way. They never got satisfied. They never, and you'd be looking at, you ever look at people who are in the greatest shape, and you see them running every day, like, damn, why they're already in great shape. Why? That's how they're in great shape, right? You see people who are successful in business or successful in life, you're like, why are they still going so hard? They don't even have an off switch. They don't even know what you're talking about.
It's like the book Mastery by Robert Greene, where he talks about mastering whatever it is that you want to do and how many hours it took for certain people to master their arts and their crafts or whatever it is that they want to be great at. You don't ever stop.
You never stop. Look, I seen Damon on the show the last week or whatever, and he talked about how much you guys have evolved. You can't see it, but you don't even understand how super professional that you guys have evolved to over the last 5 years, 7 years. But the evolution of what, and it's because you come here every day and you care, and you guys are obviously a family, and you have committed to one another to care. So when you interview politicians, or it doesn't make a difference who it is, you feel that you are each play your role. You add to the subject. You get the most out of the interview. But I couldn't have said that 5 years ago.
Right.
I respect it.
Yeah.
That's what growth is about.
Yeah.
What did you see in Kobe that you don't see in any other basketball player? Because, I'm just thinking back, like when he played at Rucker, there's been NBA players that played at Rucker before, but he played Rucker like it was the last game. He was playing hard, diving on the floor.
It was craziness. So I introduced him to Irv. Irv had a team in Rucker. I said, Irv, I can get Kobe to play on your team. We went, had dinner, boom, we go up there. Kobe goes up there. He's taking it very seriously. Now, he also wanted to let everybody know, like, you hear all this Rucker Park stuff. I could do that, too. Like, I'm super high-end professional, but I could definitely play street ball and put it down. So let me go up there. He goes up there, and he's doing this thing, going crazy. The footage is out there. But it starts to drizzle. And the floor's getting wet. So now I'm the responsible guy, right? Like, I'm not going to be the guy that says, oh, you took Kobe Bryant the thing and he got hurt. I'm not, hell no, that's not going to be the narrative. So I'm like, I got to get him to leave. But I already know that he doesn't want anybody to think that he's leaving because he's professional and it's wet.
Oh, he's soft,
he can't do that. So then he starts telling the guys, now the players who were playing with him are like, you have to leave.
Go, yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm going to tell you how to run on a wet court. I know exactly how to pick up your feet. Like, if you pick up your feet high, you could land. I'm like, man, no, man. We're getting out of here, man. But we had, and this is just a story of, like, his mental. So we're in New York, and back in the days, if you went into a club, there'd be a street guy at the end of the bar who would buy all the Cristal so that if you wanted Cristal, you had to see him for it.
Buy it for him.
So Kobe was not drinking. I was drinking. So naturally, it was aimed for us, but he didn't know Kobe wasn't drinking. So I go, and I go to get the Cristal. And I'm like, man, fuck this. I'm not doing that. And Kobe's like, forget that. And he's not really paying attention to, like, the street code. He's kind of, like, being a little loud about it. And I'm like, yo, like, this is fine. So we leave. We go to Chelsea Diner on 23rd Street. We're sitting there. The same guy, who I'm not going to name, is sitting in the booth, but Kobe is now talking super loud.
I heard the story from the other side, but go ahead.
Being very disrespectful. So I go outside. The guy calls me, says, go outside. I go outside. Boom. He got his hand on the reach. Why am I in this situation? Why am I in this situation right now? And it's not like it's super concealed. It's like,
It's out.
yeah. Kobe comes outside. I'm like, go back inside. He sees the whole thing. He goes, I'm going nowhere. That's the type of guy he was. He just was fearless in that regard. Like, he was a man, God-fearing, but believed in what's right by any means necessary. Like, if this is the right thing to do, this is right, you're wrong, and that's it. I stand by it. He was that was his mindset constantly.
How did that situation get resolved?
He seems to know how it got resolved. I mean, it got resolved.
What was the side you heard?
Kobe
him?
came outside and then what?
He came outside, and I'm like, man, nobody, you know what it is. It's just like, nobody wants to feel disrespected, especially when you're the guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the guy didn't want to feel disrespected. I'm like, come on, man, it's not this, that,
not
and the
that
third.
serious.
And as long as once I said that and he heard that, that was kind of how it all subsided. But that's really not important, that part of it. The only part of the story that really is important
That he stood
to
by
me
you regardless.
was that he stood by me regardless.
Absolutely.
And he didn't care. He wasn't, and it's the same thing like Rucker Park, right? Like it's the same comparison as far as I'm. He believed in when he believed in something, he wouldn't let what was on the other side, whether it be rain or some guy, brandishing a weapon, change his beliefs.
That was a flashback. You never knew who you might see at Chelsea Diner back then after the club.
You don't know. You see at Chelsea Diner right now.
I don't know why you was at Chelsea Diner.
Why do you spend tens of thousands of dollars?
What are you talking about? Where were you supposed to go?
Chelsea Diner.
The coffee shop.
Where were you supposed to go?
Your apartment with a chef.
Apartment with a chef.
Hold on. In 96, man?
You just bought how much?
97?
97, yeah.
97?
I've been money for a long time, Stout.
I know, but 97, yeah, I know. I didn't know when he bought
It was the hangout.
It was the hangout. Everybody
It was definitely the hangout. What else is going on? We have to talk about somber things.
Is it
United-
too early? Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask him about, since you talk about working with the NBA, United Masters, what is
Yeah.
that deal? So you're providing the music?
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Not only did we were always working with the NBA on music, but now we did this relationship between Apple and the NBA and United Masters where we're basically creating the greatest playlist for independent artists. So Apple and the NBA are promoting these artists that are coming to United Masters to create the greatest playlist for independent artists. I don't want to think Rap Caviar, but only for independent artists that are promoted it's exclusively on Apple and promoted by both the NBA and Apple. And this is just another step forward and you guys are seeing it for sure. The legacy record companies are slowly losing their hold on controlling talent.
Yep.
The thing that I learned, and you've learned this in your individual businesses, is back in the day, you had to go to a record company first to find an audience. Or you had to go to a radio station first to find an audience, right? In your business. You actually can find an audience before you find the radio station.
Absolutely.
Correct.
You can find the audience before you find the record company. So now you have the control. And that's all I've been saying for the last 2 years with United Masters is like, in the beginning it was fuzzy, like, what is this? It's a distribution company, but what does that mean? Well, what it means is if you found your audience before you had a record company, you have all the leverage. You don't have to work for them.
Right.
In fact, they should license it from you. That's what a partnership is all about. A lot of what Damon was saying back in the days, pardon his delivery, but he was really talking about that, right? Like, you already control, our culture controls the opportunity. We already can build the audience. So why do you need to then turn that over to somebody else to own when you could retain it and they can just license it? And that's been my problem with the record business. Not that the record business is wrong, but what used to be the way or the only way is no longer the way at all. Specifically for hip hop artists.
Right.
Maybe rock artists, they need the money to do all this stuff to find an audience, but we know in hip hop, man, if you got it, you can develop an audience first. And then once you develop that audience, if you want to go and sign with a record company because you want distribution or larger distribution or to say that you're with a record company or a big advance, then I think it should be much more of a licensing deal. And we've been the launching pad for a few acts this year. Little Tecca, y'all seen from the time NLE Chopper came in. You seen what took, man, and I've done this in broad daylight. This is broad daylight. Like, oh my God, Steve Stoute's putting his career on the line. No, I'm putting your intelligence on the line. Because I know exactly where this is going.
You talk
The
about
labels
Dame
are
Dash,
looking
but
for
you and
people
Dame
with-
Dash really think alike. Like, you guys are just you almost alike when the business moves, your mentality, the mindset. So the fact that you guys conflict all the
I'm
time.
not going to say that.
Yes, they are.
I think they got some things in
that
common.
The way that they think.
He goes
Nah, the way that y'all think about
a scotch too far.
the way that y'all think, your mindset, how y'all go
I
hard
think it's
for
a
your
couple
own.
things in common.
It's a
but
lot.
I think they totally different.
I think there's a lot of things that we over. You realize it. You're each entrepreneurs. So, and you're entrepreneurs for a reason because you realize you're much bigger than this platform is good, and then you can build your thing. I think he's been saying that. 50 been saying that. Jay's been saying that.
Yeah.
Diddy's been. Everybody's saying it. So, from that perspective, I think hip hop has understood that really well early and often. That's probably where the similarities end.
Where the differences come in?
Style,
Delivery, you said?
approach, consistency, persistence. I don't know.
Do you guys still have conversations now? Because I know he said you all had a conversation and
He said
patch
you
things
threw
up.
Jay under the bus soon as you saw
I
him.
ain't doing it, Jay. I ain't doing Jay. What about that? No, I mean, I seen him at Kanye's thing, and I told him, like, you were a lot of things that you said you were right, but your delivery was off. And the evolution of us as men, I would probably have never told him that at 35, but I probably didn't realize that at 35. You know, but at 49 years old, I could easily tell him that, and it's no problem. By the way, I have no problem with anybody. I'm on the other side of it now. I'm already Steve Stoute.
Yeah,
You know? I'm cool.
I love what you said about licensing too, because even like with the podcast game, right?
Yeah.
Like that's something that's new. But I see a lot of these guys and girls selling off their IPs to these companies.
Bugging.
Why? When you can just license the content.
Bugging. And by the way, Envy, I got into the advertising business early. Everybody thought I was bugging.
Right.
The whole thing is the advertising business. That's the advertising business is it all. This show does not work without the advertising business.
Correct.
Nothing on television, unless the subscription works, without the advertising business. I'm so deep, 15 years in the advertising business, I could tell you I can get a show greenlit like this if I just bring the advertisers to the table.
Yeah.
Right.
So your point is, if you're a podcaster, work on building your audience. Don't just sign away. The worst thing you can do to yourself is take upfront money and bet that you're going to fail. Because the day you become slightly successful, you're going to wish you never signed that document at all.
That's easy to say for somebody who's successful, but for somebody who has nothing,
Everybody says the same
but
thing.
it's the truth. I mean,
Everybody says
you
the
can't-
same
you
thing.
can't dangle a piece of chicken in front of a lion and say don't eat it. Like if somebody's broke, they need that money to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage, to get to that point. And then what most artists do is once they get to the level where they have leverage, they buy their stuff back, like Jay-Z did, like Jeezy did. like a lot of those
Jay-Z,
artists did.
Jay-Z, but that was a joint venture in the beginning.
Correct.
Right? Look, I'm not saying there's definitely ways to get some money. The problem is, it's not how much money. The idea isn't like, oh, I need some money. If you need some money, there's a way to get some money. That's not what's happening. They're taking as much money as they can get, period, regardless of what their needs are, and then signing away their IP as a result. If it was about getting $20,000 because you need that to grind, I'm in business with people like that all the time. There's guys that we sign all the time that's like, I'm going to turn down money from a record company, and I'm going to take, if you can give me $15,000, $20,000, if I can just get that for the next 3 months, I can make this thing go. And I'll do that, but I'm not going to sign my rights. I said, great, I don't want your rights. I don't want your rights anyway. So therefore, I'll give you the advance against my share, but you own the rights and you can sell it if you feel like it down the line. I don't want to be the owner of anybody's rights. So whether you're a podcaster or an artist, a music artist, it's the same model. Get the buzz going and then go try to get some money, but don't sign your rights away. Because if you do, I was with Deezus Samero.
My guys.
Yeah. Man, they own Bodega Boys.
Yep.
They're printing money on Bodega Boys. They take the idea, they go find 3 or 4 sponsors, boom, money, done, no problem.
Yep.
That's great. And they started with nothing.
Yep.
They own the IP right now.
Yep.
They,
I used to put them on when I had my talk show on MTV. I used to put them on my talk show, Uncommon Sense, so they had their own little segment.
Yeah.
And I remember like, yo, we should develop a show around Bodega Boys, and they was like, nah, that's our IP. We're not giving that to MTV. Like they knew that way back then.
To me, that's what it's about. It's about the evolution of us all, man. You go from like, slavery to servitude to employment to owner, right? And that's where we are now. We're past employment. We're the owner. So, if you're gonna be employed and you use this as a platform to bring attention to the thing that you own, That's not bad business. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
How much longer do these legacy companies have? Because I can see all of these artists getting out their deals. Like, Meek Mill got like one album left. I think Nicki got like one album left.
Yeah.
I think Drake might have like one album. I can see all of them getting out their deals.
Drake, by the way, Drake is about to catch a bag.
Really?
Oh, God.
From
He
who?
might catch the biggest bag ever received from individual artists.
From a label or a streaming company?
From a labels, from anybody. I mean, he may catch the biggest bag a recording artist ever received, period, up front.
What's the science behind that? Would you do just straight Apple exclusives?
Well, he's the biggest. Well,
Spotify.
If he decided to go to Apple and Spotify and own his rights going forward, they would pay him anything.
Right.
If Universal wants to keep him, because the record companies, they're in this spot where the biggest acts, the biggest artists, The Weeknd, Post Malone, sans your comments of Post Malone, Drake being the biggest, they have the best deals in their favor. So the record companies, the biggest artists are the deals that they have the worst arrangement with, right? And those deals are bad, but they also say, we got Drake, right? And they use that to sign
Other artists.
So they're paying a premium to keep those acts in. And if those acts start leaving, because they're on short-term deals, if those acts start leaving, that's when you will see the whole thing flip over. And somebody's going to do it. One big guy is going to say, you know what?
I'm going straight to Apple.
I'm doing it. But not after the fact. If you do it like after the fact, like your career is already in its 12th, 13th, 15th year, you kind of like got a little thing, it's fine and you should do it. But somebody's going to do it at the peak of their game.
I feel like Chance the Rapper was on that early as far as putting his album out independently.
Yeah, but he started off independent. I'm talking about somebody's
Oh,
going to
leaving
leave
the
the
label.
system.
Okay.
Somebody like Meek, somebody like Drake.
Somebody like Meek are going to leave the system, 2 Chainz, at the top of their game, and then everybody's going to go, well, what is this? And it's going to be what I've been saying for a long time. And the advertising business is going to underwrite the new music business. The advertising business, the same way it does everything else, will underwrite the new music business by the time I'm done. And then I'll do it, and then it'll be rinsed and repeated, and that will be an aspect of the new record business. Record companies won't go out of business at all. They sit on too much catalog, and they do perform a function. However, there's a big growing aspect of the business that does not require record companies. YouTube stars, right? We could laugh at them in the beginning, but clearly there's more supply and demand than CBS, Fox, and those guys could handle, right? So the YouTube stars became really big. They wouldn't have got deals at the networks. They had to figure it out on YouTube, and then they got big. Record companies are the same thing. There's more supply and demand for music than record companies can handle. How many artists you think are signed to record companies? You take them all together. 1,000?
All right.
1,200? There's 1,200 artists putting up music on SoundCloud today. I mean, in the last since we started this interview, right? So that there's more supply and demand, and it's not like I have a 15-year-old daughter. She doesn't go, oh, it's not on Def Jam, I'm not listening to it.
She don't give a shit.
She don't give a shit about it all. And by the way, she will dispose of it if it's not a hit or in 2 weeks. By the way, everything's almost a Macarena.
What do you tell? Right.
Even the dopest.
It's the Macarena.
What do you tell artists that are in these cities that don't have a community of, say, executives, like a smaller city, and they're like, okay, how can I get heard? How do I say that?
I want every artist, small city, come to United Masses. I am giving away opportunities. I really, in fact, I'm looking for more artists from small cities that's popping, that's saying, look, give me a shot. Just put the camera on me. Just give me a moment. And that's exactly what we're looking for, because on the other side is there's big artists that'll leave a defective record company, and then there's a small artist from nowhere that pops overnight. Man, look, whether you love that record or not, man, look, we have to all celebrate what Lil Nas did, right? I mean, this kid came from nothing. You seen the Instagram post where he had like 3,000 followers eating a pizza. A year later, boom. That's the business.
I just hope he's making money, though.
Well, he got a big advance. He's definitely making money. He got a big advance. It certainly changed his life. what you want to hope is that it's not a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Like that he can actually make more music.
He had another top
Beyond
10.
that.
What was that?
Rodeo.
Yeah.
Rodeo.
He had the
Now,
song.
what was it? Panina?
Panina. Yeah, Panina.
Did you try to take Clue from Dame Dash? was that story true?
Yeah. Let me tell you exactly what happened. Well,
Yeah.
See, this is why I can't be mad at Steve Stoute because he don't lie.
because that's not even because what happened was what's funny is Dame said, Clue, I'm gonna give you a deal, and 6 months went by and he had no deal, and then Clue asked me to manage him, and I'm like, there's nothing to manage. You have no deal. Could you help me with my deal? No follow up. Whatever they must have been in the middle of, in hindsight, they didn't get this man a contract. So now I'm sitting there at the top of Columbia Records, and Clue's like, well, I want to get my record. I'm like, well, then I'll give you a deal. That actually led to how Jay and I got close, because we were sitting at the top of Sony. I was sitting in my office at 9 o'clock at night. I get the menacing phone call from Jay-Z, and I said, great, let me tell you my address. You know? And they come
I
up.
think you told the story before.
Yeah, and they came up to my office. Tata came
Yeah.
and thing, and Clue was sitting there, and Clue's absolutely nervous, and I'm barefoot.
Oh, so Tata was with Tata and Jay. And Dame was all
Tata,
together.
Dame, Biggs, Jay, this, that.
Oh, they came.
Then they came. The whole Rockefeller
Clue
at
was
the
in
time came up,
demand.
and
You was by yourself?
by myself, literally barefoot,
Why were you barefoot?
because that's how I walk around, man. I'm
Okay.
West Indian.
All right.
Nice carpeted office.
Yeah, nice carpeted offices. That's what you're supposed to say. Like, man, the carpet must have been plush. That's why
He
you're
said,
barefoot.
why were you barefoot?
So anyhow, they came in, and I had made a joke. Something I talked about. Look, I don't care about, no disrespect to Clue, but I'm playing this game for a much larger thing, and if we're trying to buy big houses and do big things, and I can't be sitting around like you guys didn't give him a deal. In fact, the deal got closed that night, and then I said, Clue, you'll sign them, and I signed Kid Capri, and that's what we did, and that was like. But then Jay and I got close from that. I think the connection was like, he just said come to his office. He was really by himself in his office. And I'm fearless that way. It's how I signed Nas. I went to Queensbridge. I heard a guy named Nas was there after Illmatic, and I went to Queensbridge, and I went there asking for Nas.
You had shoes on that time, though.
Yeah, I definitely had shoes on.
not barefoot.
It wasn't plush there. It certainly was not plush on Vernon Boulevard. And I went there, and I signed him. But like, I wanted something, and I believed in it, and I went for it. But the point is, fearless in that way. I'm very fearless in that way, and I'm excited where this chapter right here is going to take all of us. Because a lot of times you start to think, man, this industry is fully matured. We're there already. You know, I used to think Miss Pac-Man was mainstream. World of Warcraft is mainstream, right? Fortnite's mainstream. Miss Pac-Man was big. This is something else.
Right.
We're still at Miss Pac-Man level. Hip-hop culture, what we're all doing, is still at Miss Pac-Man level.
Yeah, I think, and another reason is we haven't tapped into what this means for us globally. Like, we haven't just figured out how we can profit off this globally. Like, I go to the UK and get love. I go to South Africa and get love. Like, that could have never happened 20 years ago.
So you sitting there talking to TD Jakes about that. Hell no, that couldn't happen 20 years ago. By the way, 20 years ago, they didn't when Will Smith and them put out Bad Boys, Sony Pictures didn't even send them to Europe to promote the movie because African Americans couldn't open up movies back then.
Right. They said it was supposed to be two different people starring, white guys starring in.
They
Bad
wouldn't even
Boys.
let them fly to promote the movie.
They were like,
20
it's just
years
two black
ago,
guys, it's not
right?
global.
So now, this is what's going to end up happening. Boom. I'm going to be CEO of some Viacom. God knows what it may be. I may, if something like that, if I want to do that, right? And when you become the CEO of a company like Viacom, Disney, now all of a sudden, I know what this is. I know that you're bigger than Howard Stern. I can't do anything about it right now. I know that. Now you get the bag. And then you go and then you put on the next version of you.
Right.
And that's what's going to end up happening. We haven't gotten to that point yet where the people who come from hip hop are now CEOs of big companies like iHeart, right? They kind of know. They don't really know. No disrespect. They don't really know. But when I get in position, or when my other peers get in position, or when you get in position, and that's when you start to see the whole thing really go.
Using your power to empower.
Yeah, and because it's not about just, the best thing about hip-hop, I don't care whether hip-hop is dead or the music is whack or we don't like the new song, forget that. And that's what I wrote in the book, The Tanning of America. Mm-hmm. The thing that we created was much bigger than the music. Ebonics, clothing, Timberlands, and it's not for it's not even for outdoor
for
wear.
working. Right.
Yeah, right. It's how we use and interact with the culture and each other, which has become global. Mm-hmm. And that thing is bigger than the music,
Absolutely.
way bigger than the music. And that's the thing that we have not tapped into globally. And that's why we're still at Miss Pac-Man level.
What do you think about the role of DJs now?
That's not DJing?
Like, just, like it used to be, you got to break a record, you need a DJ to do that, you need the whole network.
I think it's about DJs in the back. No, I think that DJs still have, they're the voice of credibility, right? So if you're the DJ, whomever, really what you are is a reflection of the community that you became started in. So if you're DJ Envy and you came up in Queens, and then you came up and then from Queens you got to affect New York, and then affect America, everything you say along the way, you're the voice of it. So he could say, this is the song, or this is the person, and he can stamp it. DJs at their best are authenticators. Mm-hmm.
I think radio stations and record labels are 15 years behind.
Radio stations are definitely 15 years behind. And they have an opportunity to catch up if they decide that they're going to get off of the legacy ways of making money.
Word.
Record companies, it's the same phenomenon. When you are big and you've gotten fat and lucrative doing one thing, when that thing starts to change, you don't see it.
Word.
You're the last guy to get the memo.
Word.
Like, what?
Word.
They're not doing that no more?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
But I'm so out of control, and all you've done is hired more people who don't see it either. Mm-hmm. So the entire circle don't know what's happening outside the circle.
Bunch of culturally clueless motherfuckers.
Yeah, and it's a bunch of guys, and all they do is, do what they've done,
right?
And then they ride it until it falls off. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these guys, they're fine because they're employees. Mm-hmm. And because they're employees, you look at them like they should be thinking about the long-term health of the company. They're thinking about the next 5 years. So as long as the business can stay together for the next 5 years, they have a contract. Mm-hmm. Very few of these CEOs or senior executives are thinking about the long-term health of any of these companies. Mm-mm. They're just thinking about, who can I sign right now? What deal can I do right now so that I won't get fired?
So I can sustain, yeah.
Which is my entire other thing, which goes even further into this subject about the relationship between fame and talent. Mm-hmm. Where fame and talent used to be, they always had a relationship.
It's synonymous, yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
But not anymore.
Hell no.
Fame has put talent to sleep. Mm-hmm. In fact, talent is saying, I'm tapping out. I just want the fame real quick. Mm-hmm. And not only is it happening in the industry where you start to see lack of talented people will set themselves on fire to be famous, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yes, I'm seeing it in business too, where bad decisions are constantly being made. I'll do whatever it takes for short-term fame. In fact, I'll do anything that won't get me fired. Mm. If you're a risk taker, all you're doing is things that might get you fired.
Mm-hmm. Story of my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate you for joining us, brother.
That was great.
I always like being up here, man. I really enjoyed coming up here and having a conversation.
My brother,
you.
love.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you guys.
Thank you so much.
Man, cool.
It's Steve Stoute. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.